Hello, class. This is section 8.2. That's chapter 8, section 2 on Jewish beliefs and texts. There are four main ideas for this section. Number one, beliefs in God, education, justice, and obedience anchor Jewish society. So those are like the primary kind of big ideas behind the religion. Number two, Jewish beliefs are listed in the Torah, the Hebrew Bible, and the commentaries. Number three, the Dead Sea Scrolls reveal many past Jewish beliefs. And number four, the ideas of Judaism have helped shape later cultures. So the first kind of major belief of Judaism that anchors its society is the idea of a belief in one God, right? So monotheism is just another word for a belief in only one God. And um, Judaism, that's kind of the official word for the religion of the Hebrews, which is practiced by Jews today, and is the world's oldest known monotheistic religion, right? Monotheistic, again, meaning a belief in one God. Monotheism, I'll talk a little bit more about it later, but there's some other major monotheistic religions today. You've got, right, Judaism, you've got Christianity, and you've got Islam. The second major Jewish belief is a belief in education. And so it's big in Jewish culture that children need to be taught the basics of their religion. They need to be taught specifically, right? And explicitly. So you have a picture here on the left of some children studying one of the Jewish texts. This clip art picture, same sort of thing on the top. But I think in general, Jewish families and people, they just want their children to be educated in general also. So I think this would span beyond just learning about Judaism and their religion. It would include, the school they go to as well. The third Jewish belief is a belief in justice and righteousness. So let me put this simply. There's a belief in being kind and being good to people, right? So things like aiding the poor and needy, like this picture on the right of someone donating at a homeless shelter or a soup kitchen. And then the idea of fairness and the idea of um, righteousness and justice and behaving appropriately. That's kind of a silly picture here on the left, but this idea of acting the right way, doing the right things, right? Acting morally, right? The final Jewish belief is the belief in obedience and law, right? So law meaning the laws of the religion, obedience, obeying those laws. So laws like the Ten Commandments, which we have here on the left, listed. So thou shalt have no other gods before me. So they're putting their God above all else. Thou shalt not make unto any graven image. So um, like building statues that aren't like to other gods and stuff. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Right, saying God's name in negative ways. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Honor thy father and thy mother. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor, lying, and thou shalt not covet or want other people's things. So that's the Ten Commandments. There's also Mosaic law, which has more specific laws about how the Jews are supposed to eat, how they should pray, and that sort of thing. Next, we have the texts that are specifically listing these Jewish beliefs. You've got the Torah here on the left, which is the most sacred text of Judaism, which has a lot on Jewish law and history. You've got the Hebrew Bible, also known as the Tanakh, and this consists of 8 books on the Hebrew prophets, and it also contains poetry, songs, stories, proverbs, and psalms. So in addition to the stories in it. It has poetry, songs, proverbs, and psalms. Psalms. And then you've got the commentaries, which uh, kind of they go into more detail on the different laws and kind of analyze them. So the Talmud is one of those. It's a set of commentaries, stories, and folklore that explain Jewish law. And let's see here. The Hebrew Bible is also known as the Tanakh, which you see here on the bottom right. And um, prophets is an important term. This is someone who, a prophet is someone who is said to receive messages from God to be taught to others. So a lot of the Tanakh, a lot of the Hebrew Bible is made up of prophets that, spoke to their God and delivered messages from God. A synagogue is a Jewish house of worship. So this is where they would go to their services and pray to their God, kind of like Christians go to church and Muslims go to mosque. Jewish people go to the synagogue. The Dead Sea Scrolls were written approximately 2,000 years ago and were discovered by young boys near the Dead Sea in a cave, kind of like here on the right, bottom right. So they were very old and worn down, and they tell us a lot about how Jews lived in the past, and so they've been a valuable primary source document for historians. And most were written between 100 BC and 80 50. So, that's right around year zero, right? The final section is on Judaism in later centuries. And the biggest idea here, and these are the same symbols that we saw at the beginning, are that many people in the Western world share Jewish beliefs and values, right? It's the first known monotheistic religion, meaning the first known religion that just has a belief in one God. So here you've got on the far right, this is the Star of David, right? King David, right? The first king, not the first king, but the second king of Israel, and probably the most well-known and most famous. So that's the Star of David. On the far left, you've got the symbol of Christianity. So Judaism helped shape the largest religion in Western society, which is Christianity, but it also helped shape the religion of the central symbol, which is Islam. And it's believed that people that are Muslims or follow Islam are, the spiritual descendants of Abraham, right? So there is really huge links between all three of these religions. And the big idea for this chapter is that the central ideas and laws of Judaism are contained in sacred texts such as the Torah. All right, thank you.